Hi everybody, and welcome back. So, from the previous videos, we now know there is a thing called the stress response happening inside all of us and every day of our life. And today I want to give you a brief introduction to what are commonly called the 4 foundation stones required for good health in all humans. In fact, all creatures on the planet. And they are sleep, nutrition, gut bacteria colony, and mental and emotional balance. It is these foundation stones which are the first to be negatively impacted by any ongoing stress at any level. And when they are, that will trigger our stress levels every time. When you recognize that any of these foundation stones are out of balance, then it is a very clear sign that your body is experiencing stress from somewhere. Now that means your ancient reptilian brain is reacting to some form of a threat in your life. Therefore, your stress response is activated and the hormones, chemicals and nervous system sensitization is what you are experiencing as the stress that you feel. It is these reactions that directly impact on any or all of the 4 foundation stones required for good health. And now you are beginning to notice poor sleep, gut issues, craving, yummy processed foods, feeling more internal agitation, and your thoughts, feelings and emotions are becoming noticeably more negative. And there is a well-known reason for it all. Each of the individual foundation stones are also a great indicator of where the stress could be coming from. Is it an outside influence, or are we doing it to ourselves on the inside? Are we getting good sound sleep? Or is it the food we are eating? Maybe something to do with our gut bacteria, or our mental and emotional state is gradually swinging out of balance. And as we've discussed, stress levels accumulate like savings in the bank. So it's not necessarily one big issue. It could be many small ones that over time all add up to the big stressful experience inside our body where no one can see. And that could also simply include living a lifestyle which does not match our authentic needs, which is so very, very common. But when we provide for these foundation stones exactly what they need in order for them to do their job, they in turn, by supporting our immune system, protect us from virtually every disease known to man. They are all involved in the repairing and maintaining of our whole body, our brain, our mental health, and even our ancient stress response itself, and keeping our whole body operating in a balance or at a peak efficiency. You see, they are crucial for our survival, as the natural act of living on this planet, Earth, floating in space, means that every night our body has to be repaired, revitalized, thoughts, feelings and emotions processed correctly, and body cells replaced, ready for the next day to come. That's the natural process. That's how it works. But how many of us knew that? Now, the foundation stones are tightly linked and supportive of each other. That means if one foundation stone is compromised or lacking, the chances are very good that the others will be as well. Just like 4 water tanks all connected by a pipe, if the water is leaking from one tank, eventually all 4 water tanks will be completely empty. For each of the foundation stones to be able to support the others, they in turn must be supported. For example, if your sleep is compromised long term, your gut bacteria, choice of nutrition, and mental and emotional balance will also be compromised, and your nervous system sensitized. If your mental well-being is compromised, so too will be your sleep, internal nutrition status, gut bacteria colony, and therefore every part and process in your body which stems from each of them. Now that means, with the exception of our children who rely on us to look out for them, each of us must proactively look after our sleep, our nutrition, our gut bacteria colony, and mental and emotional balance, all at the same time. So often, no one ever told us that, and no one has ever told us that others can't do it for us, and that there is no drug on the planet that can solve this issue for us. Now, Why is our stress response so reactive when it comes to our foundation stones? Because without any of them, we simply can't exist. Therefore, our reptilian brain reacts to any threat to our foundation stones at any level by immediately activating our stress response every time, and it keeps bubbling away until the threat is gone, which, unless we know, is why many of us can be living with elevated stress levels for years, and then it becomes so normal that it becomes predictable, and in a weird way that becomes comforting because it's predictable. And yet on the inside, where no one can see, it is slowly doing us harm. We must remember the stress response is the ancient signal from our senses all over our body to our brain to instruct our physical body into action in the physical world which we live in. The immediate challenge for us is to avoid or eliminate this potential or real threat right now. That's the message we're getting. Do something about it. It could be a matter of survival. Eliminating the sense of threat or the stress we're feeling in our life allows our stress response to turn off so we or our body can calm down and we can get that peaceful, rejuvenating break that we so deserve. So, even though these common signs and symptoms of stress on our body are referred to as either acute or chronic diseases by the health system, every stress response reaction is in effect just a message from our internal senses to our physical body to address the problem. And remember, addressing the problem is our job and our responsibility alone throughout our life. No one can do it for us. And it doesn't matter what the stressful period is from. Surgery, grief, trauma, natural disaster, to intense training, running a marathon, toxic relationships, COVID-19 virus, or the vaccination, the worry of financial troubles, or farming through a wet, bleak, cold winter and spring. Make sure your body foundation stones have everything they need and be aware of those essential ingredients that may be missing. And again, do something about it, as our body needs us to do the biz. It can't do it on its own. Now, there are many proven studies on this subject, which we will cover in later videos. Interestingly, all of these foundation stones, which to make a point includes our mental and emotional well-being, it's just another foundation stone, are genetically programmed to operate in a balanced state for our benefit, which very simply means for our survival. Therefore, no matter how long they have struggled and how tough your life has been as a result up to this point, as soon as they receive the optimum conditions, within hours, they begin to transition to move back into the most efficient state, which always directs our whole body and mind back into a calm and balanced state. Imagine that. And positive change always happens regardless of how long you have been stuck in an unhealthy situation. And that can be from months to decades. And that can all be scientifically proven. Now, that change is why these common signs and symptoms are all labelled as progressive issues by the science. That's because they can progress from good to bad and back to good again. But only if we do something about it and prevent them from being stuck under the influence of any traumatic residue or a stressful lifestyle. But to do that means putting your detective cap on and finding the underlying cause of the issue, the threat or the stress, and deleting it from your life. That will require changes to be made in your lifestyle and not just monitoring, treating, and or managing the issue until forever. Now, just how difficult is that? Well, for some, it's not a problem at all, but for most, it appears to be very difficult. And that's because change is always easier said than done for most animals. But you have to admit, it's definitely more achievable now that you know, right? The problem for me was that I simply didn't have a clue. For example, as an amateur athlete all of my life, I really believed the fitter I was, the healthier I was. That's it. With absolutely no awareness of these foundation stones, and that includes nutrition. Now, I thought the more active I was, the fitter I was, gave me license to eat absolutely any yummy rubbish I could choose. Yum. And boy oh boy, had I missed the mark. We should never abandon good nutrition while putting our body through periods of physical or emotional traumatic stress. And I've known plenty of tough, capable, physically active guys and girls who, over time, also ended up in the same boat as myself. Burnout. To others, a breakdown and emotional collapse. And the same predictable outcome happens to many individuals in our society with every natural disaster that is sprung upon us. And ironically, there's so much the science can show us that all of us can do when that happens. Now, interestingly, with few exceptions, the foundation stones are seldom mentioned collectively by any section of the health industry, either mainstream or alternative to mainstream. Maybe that's why I didn't know about them either. Better late than never, I say, because now that I know about them, so do you. Okay, food for thought. Good job, everyone. And next time I'll tell you more about individual foundation stones and how stress in our life can interfere with each of them, which can impact on our health. Now that stress can also come from us simply not providing for them what they need to perform their role. And we're going to start with sleep. There are quite a few people looking forward to this subject. If you're one of those who have poor sleep, then maybe this information can be of help to you. And remember, these videos are not a tutorial, but a conversation in simple terms based on sound science, but made simple so that anyone can understand and gradually build a picture all about stress, how it can negatively influence us, and the science-based options we have to change that around. And now, one last point. A reminder that you can purchase my book titled Stress Overload in You, which explains about our stress response and how I first got onto this topic. Available for only $33 per copy, delivered anywhere in New Zealand. A good easy read and only available through my Facebook page and YouTube channel. Okay, we'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye bye.